Friends, I do not know how many of us who are going to participate in the coming battles will survive to see India free. But whether we survive or not, whether we individually live to see India free or not, we are confident that India shall be free. We are confident that Anglo-American imperialism will be wiped out of India. We are confident that the menace that now hangs over East Asia will be removed once for all.
दिल्ली दिल्ली जाएंगे हम अपने हिंद बनाएंगे हम दिल्ली दिल्ली जाएंगे हम अपने हिंद बनाएंगे अब फौज बन के रहना है दुख दर्द मुसीबत सहना है अब फौज बन के रहना है दुख दर्द मुसीबत सहना है सुभाष का कहना चलो दिल्ली चल के रहना है सुभाष का कहना है चलो दिल्ली चल के रहना है हम दिल्ली दिल्ली जाएंगे हम अपने हिंद बनाएंगे हम दिल्ली
We are going to celebrate Netaji centenary with a national program in the Red Fort in Delhi. This very strangely brings back to me my imprisonment in a dark, dingy underground cell in the same Red Fort 52 years ago. I had heard his thundering call to the Indian National Army to march to Delhi and hold the victory parade in the Red Fortress of India's metropolis. But that did not happen. We were deprived of Netaji's leadership at a very vital point in history when independence came to India. Now, at his centenary, it is not enough just to have rituals and formal ceremonies. It has become essential to rediscover and relearn his teachings and try to inspire the next generation to live them actually and work them out to build a new India.
कोई नहीं कह सकता है जिन लोग इस जंग में शरीक होंगे उनसे कितने लोग निकलेंगे जिंदा हो कोई बात नहीं है हम जिंदा रहेंगे या तो मरेंगे कोई बात नहीं है बात कोई सही बात यह है आम बात यह है आखिर में हमारी कामयाबी होगी हिंदुस्तान आजाद होगा
Subhash Chandra Bose, as the apostle of freedom, as a fighter for freedom, has won the title of Netaji, which history has endowed him with. This is because of the entirely single-minded dedication with which Subhash Chandra Bose had plunged into the national movement. This is because Subhash Chandra Bose did not even care for certain internationalist preoccupations and pursued with single-minded zeal the goal of Indian freedom. This is why he did not hesitate even to take the help of Britain's enemy at a time when Britain was engaged in a life and death struggle. An agreement with the enemy's enemy was considered by Subhash Chandra Bose as expedient. It might have caused and did cause a lot of ideological controversy, but Subhash Chandra Bose proved his utterly single-minded patriotic devotion by thinking only of one goal, and that was Indian freedom. But he had never lost sight of the socio-economic implications of freedom because of the natural link of the idea of political freedom with the idea of economic emancipation in the name of in the form of socialism. And that is why research has shown that even though Subhash Chandra Bose had taken the assistance of the fascist powers during the World War II. He had never submitted to the demands of the fascists, but on the contrary had insisted on the socialistic orientation of his own program. If one goes into detail, which I can't at this present moment, if one goes into detail, one can find how Subhash could reconcile his idea of political freedom with his concept of economic emancipation of his people. But he pursued the idea absolutely single-mindedly for political freedom as an indispensable preliminary to the achievement of socialist emancipation. And this is why he has come to have a place in the hearts of his people. No other political leader, apart from Mahatma Gandhi, who was fearless in his own way, who belonged, as it were, to a different planet, apart from Mahatma Gandhi, no other Indian leader in history has perhaps achieved that place in the hearts of his people as Subhash Chandra Bose. And I consider it a good fortune that I had the opportunity of meeting him and talking to him when he presided at the Haripura Congress and on so many other occasions, particularly during the period from 1938 to 1940. The centenary of his birth is an occasion which is to be celebrated not only in India, but I feel all over Asia and Africa and Latin America, wherever people are suffering and aching and hungering and thirsting for freedom.
There is no power on earth that can keep India enslaved anymore. Let us strive for India's freedom one day more.
आजाद हिंद सेना ने जब नेताजी का पैगाम लिया, आजाद हिंद सेना ने जब नेताजी का पैगाम लिया, जय हिंद का नारा गूंज उठा, हाथों में तिरंगा थाम लिया। जय हिंद का नारा गूंज उठा, हाथों में तिरंगा थाम लिया। जय हिंद का नारा गूंज उठा, हाथों में तिरंगा थाम लिया।
Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose was known to me in my childhood in the late 20s of this century as Subhash Jethamosai, because he was a very close and intimate friend of my late father, Professor Kshitish Prasad Chattopadhyay. Kshitish Prasad, Dilip Kumar and Subhash Chandra were close friends from their student days, and when they went to Cambridge for higher studies in 1919-20, they lived in rooms next to each other and always moved together, so that the Indian students in Cambridge called them trio or troi, as they say in Bengali. India won its independence after a long struggle of more than 150 years, and no single person alone can claim that it was his contribution that was maximum. Many people, many known leaders and many more unknown heroes contributed to Indian freedom. Usually we attribute to Gandhi the greatest credit for bringing Indian freedom. That historically is not a wrong assessment, but only a part assessment. Gandhi's path, as is well known, was non-violent mass struggle. But there was an alternative path which acted as, not acted in contrary to, but acted as a complement to the Gandhian path. This was the armed struggle for Indian independence. Group armed struggle known as revolutionary terrorism, plans to make a revolt of the Indian army, and culminating finally in the formation of the Azad Hind Fauj by Subhash Chandra Bose. But before that, I would like to refer to Subhash Chandra's great contribution to Indian freedom struggle. He was not the first to raise the slogan of complete independence to be the goal of Indian independence. There were others, notably the revolutionaries and the left-wingers. They had been raising the slogan of complete independence right from the Ahmedabad Congress of 1921. But they never secured more than 10 or 11 votes in the Congress session. But in 1928, after Subhash Chandra had come out of jail, he was determined that dominion status should no longer remain the goal of the Indian freedom movement. It was too narrow, too little, and only complete independence would satisfy the awakened youth of India. This is known both as the Subhash Bose Amendment and also as the Bose-Nehru Amendment. It showed that the Indian left had already acquired sufficient strength, and Gandhiji realized that the youth had voted with Subhash. So he announced, although I have won and I will not yield this year to Subhash's demands, I promise to the delegates that if within 1 year by my method I cannot win dominion status for India, in the next session of the Indian National Congress, that is at Lahore, I shall myself move the resolution on complete independence. This was a partial victory for Subhash Chandra, as everybody will understand, and Gandhiji did not get dominion status, but he kept his word. He moved the complete independence resolution at Lahore.
सुभाष जी वो जान हिंद आ गए है नाज जिस पे हिंद को वो शान हिंद आ गए सुभाष जी वो जान हिंद आ गए है नाज जिस पे हिंद को वो शान हिंद आ गए सुभाष जान हिंद है सुभाष मान हिंद है सुभाष आन हिंद है सुभाष शान हिंद है सुभाष जी वो जान हिंद आ गए है नाज जिस पे हिंद को वो शान हिंद आ गए.
I am delighted to find that Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose's birth centenary is being celebrated all over the country. I take personal pride in this fact because our family was very close to the family of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. In fact, his brother Sharat Chandra Bose was a close friend of my father, Nirmal Chandra, and all of them were followers of Deshbandhu Chittaranjan Das and belonged to the Swarajya party. Netaji has not been properly assessed. There are some people who take him for God and eulogize him. There are others who are not so reverent towards him. It is high time that Netaji should be properly assessed and his contribution to India's independence movement should be indicated by proper research work. To my mind, Netaji seems to be a religious man. He was a spiritual man. This aspect has not been highlighted. We all think that Mahatma Gandhi brought about spiritualism in politics, but Netaji himself was a spiritual man since his childhood, and whatever he did, he depended on God in result. Even when the fight was going on with INA people against the British, he used to go to Ramakrishna Mission to have his meditation. In this way, Netaji was a man of great moral courage and also devotion to God. Netaji should be studied from that angle, and we can feel that in the present days when corruption is rampant, people, leaders like Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, who dared all dangers throughout his life, in fact, should be the ideal before all of us. We do not simply think as a
leader in our independence movement, he is also leader of thought. He thought of Bengal and India in such a way that after independence there will be no difference between caste and creed, and people should always work together. Mahatma Gandhi, during his last days, paid tribute to Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose on his great achievement in bringing people of all religions and creeds together in his INA movement. I pay my respectful tribute to Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose on his birth centenary year.
सुख चैन की बरखा बरसे भारत भाग्य है जागा पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल गंगा चंचल हिमाचल यमुना गंगा नील जल गंगा तेरे नित्य गुण गाए तुझसे जीवन पाए सब तन पाए आशा सूरज बन कर जग पर चमके भारत नाम सुहागा जय हो जय हो जय हो जय 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 हो भारत नाम सुहागा सबके दिल में प्रीत बसाई तेरी मीठी बाणी हर सूबे के रहने वाले हर मजहब के प्राणी सब भेद और फर्क मिटा के सब गोद में तेरी आके गूंजे प्रेम की माला सूरज बन कर जग पर चमके भारत नाम सुभागा जय हो जय हो